Hello viewers, my name is Elizabeth Gakere, a member of ACK St. Joseph of Alumadea, under the leadership of Reverend Samuel Githaiga. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Vicar for giving me this opportunity to make a presentation. I also want to thank Mothers Union Committee for the support they are giving me. I am a trained accountant up to degree level, and I'm also a certified public accountant of Kenya. Currently, I'm running a business that manufactures and supplies uniforms, promotional items, and also gift items. My presentation today is concerning recovery from financial setbacks due to Covid-19 pandemic. All over the world, or globally, people have experienced many setbacks due to coronavirus pandemic. This may be health, financial, educational, career-wise, and many others. In this case, we shall be looking at financial setbacks that have affected livelihoods due to loss of jobs or businesses going down. For many, coming out of the setback will be difficult and may take a long time. However, each person's attitude towards the effects can make a lot of difference. The effects have continued to bite, and cases are still being reported, which means the pandemic may not end anytime soon. Therefore, we need to get used to the new normal and come up with ways of coping with the effects. Following are the steps that may be considered for financial recovery. Number one is examination of current situation. As individuals, we need to assess the situation in which we are currently in a calm manner, without panic or self-pity, so as to make rational and workable decisions. One needs to know the extent to which he has been affected by listing down all the necessary commitments and obligations that have not been met since the pandemic started. The first step is examining if we are able to meet family basic financial needs. These are very crucial because to survive, we have to meet basic needs like food and shelter. In some cases, if these are not met, they may bring up family conflicts because people will start accusing each other of irresponsibility. Other issues to examine are those related to debt conditions, and examples are mortgage in banks, cooperative loans and contributions, chama loans and contributions, rent arrears, insurance premiums, and others may have loans in Shylocks, which are very difficult because the interests are very high. In some of these cases, arrangements with the creditors could have been made when the pandemic started in order to avoid problems. The debts which could have accumulated and now need to start being paid should be planned for. Therefore, one needs to strategize on how to start repayments by planning which ones to start first, whether to start making partial payments or any other arrangements that need to be made with the creditors. This will prevent ugly and embarrassing scenarios like auctioning and eviction from premises. The other thing that somebody can do is trying other options for survival. During the time that no income is forthcoming, it is important for someone to look for other means of earning a living. Even when it feels odd, people may need to swallow their pride to do odd jobs. If they are available, they may do small businesses like selling produce, as has been seen recently, and others may come up with ideas from their hobbies, like baking, catering, delivering, rearing chicken, opening of kiosks, or selling second-hand clothes. And this may lead to self-employment that may extend even into the future. It is good to open up even to friends who may be willing to assist in ideas or even financial. Number 3 is creation of a spending plan. And this is where the budget comes in. A budget is an estimate of income and expenditure over a future period of time. We should start with planning using the current amount that is at our disposal. And then we take any other expected income. Next, we should list all the items we expect to spend the income on. These have to be priority items because this is not a time to spend on unnecessary items. The best way to know how much we spend within a particular period is by monitoring all our expenses. And this can be achieved by retaining all receipts for the period, mostly a month, and then totaling them by category. This can be done every time one buys an item, and keeping those receipts and then recording them. And this will guide us in planning as an indication of how much we need to budget for. Depending on the arrangements made with the creditors, as earlier discussed, a plan has to be made accordingly, listing how to treat each creditor or commitment by prioritizing. To be able to stick to the plan, we need to create a budget that is realistic and flexible. The budget will help us keep the items checked, and it will also give us an idea which ones we should reduce or which ones to do away with. We should avoid planning for discretionary items and also learn to survive on what is available for us at a time that, like the one we're experiencing. Once we get used to the budget, it will help us plan not only during the pandemic, but also afterwards because of developing a discipline. With time, as circumstances change and income increases or decreases, the budget should be reviewed to reflect current situation, which should be more realistic. The next one is making plans for uncertain future. Because of what we have experienced due to the pandemic, we need to create a set of financial goals that can work for us during uncertain times. The plans must be carefully set and should be flexible according to future expectations, though uncertain. They should also be realistic and should be reviewed as one's situation changes. Deadlines should be set to encourage achievement of the set goals. The plans may be short-term or long-term. The next thing we should look at is short-term investment plans. Short-term goals are said to be achieved within a short period of time, which is a year or less. Among the short-term goals to set as we focus on the pandemic is the need to plan to make sure that we can get through hardship immediately after loss of income. And we'll start this by considering building up of an emergency fund. The most recommended step in setting up of short-term financial goals is by building up an emergency fund that can last a person for at least 6 months of the financial setback. It has been noted that many people have not been having such plans, and it is high time we should all learn that need for an emergency fund is important. Building up an emergency fund can be done through a normal savings bank account, but a lot of discipline is required to save, and many people may not manage. The disadvantage will be that interest on the saved amount is minimal. However, the advantage is that funds will be available anytime they are required without giving notice, and no risk is involved. Banks also offer fixed deposit that mature after a period of time. And this period is fixed, and interest is higher than a savings account. Banks also offer different types of accounts that can be used to save and can later be, they can later assist in procuring loans if a need comes. And we have seen that lately banks are giving options. For example, we have Inua Dada initiative that most of you could have heard about. Saving for emergency is best achieved through an account that is not readily available for withdrawing, so that one is not tempted to withdraw all the time there is need. This can be done through a money market fund account, where funds are pulled together from different investors and then invested together. This arrangement is safe because capital invested is guaranteed, plus interest, which is much higher than on a normal bank account. There are no management fees charged initially while opening this account, and one can be making regular deposits or any time extra money is available, no matter how little it is. The investment may be started with about 5,000 or more, depending on the company that you are dealing with. A standing order arrangement is usually recommended to ensure that no month is missed for those who have regular income, like a salary. When funds are required and a request is made for withdrawal, the funds will be availed by the company, and it will be deposited into the account within 5 days or less, depending on the agreement or arrangement with that company. Statements are availed regularly, and it is recommended that one should only deal with registered, reputable investment firms. One should not be attracted by high interest rates alone without carrying out due diligence concerning that firm. A similar arrangement is wealth management account that works more or less like a fixed account, and interest is attractive, and it depends on the amount invested. Another recommended way of saving is by joining a cooperative society. And a cooperative society is joined together with people who know one another, and one should join a cooperative society that they are familiar with, because most of them may not be very straightforward. When one joins and starts contributing, he or she becomes eligible for a loan after 6 months of continuous contribution. In case of emergency, one can apply for an emergency loan which can help in surviving for the short period required. Cooperatives work with guarantors, and people guarantee one another for the loans when need arises on any individual among that group. Alternatively, one can invest in Treasury bills, and these normally mature within a period of 1 year or less. And they are in maturities of 91 days, 182 days, or 364 days, and are paid up at an attractive interest rate, which is set up at the time of investing. This can be done online, it can be done through dealers, or one can walk to a bank and make the investment. They are safe because they are guaranteed government securities. However, withdrawal before maturity will resort to loss of interest. Now we move on to long-term investment plans. Long-term investment plans are set to build a strong financial future for a period longer than a year, and are therefore not meant for those in a hurry to make quick profits. The plans may be for purchase of a house, payment of school fees in future, saving for retirement, or any other major investment. At some point after this pandemic, it is assumed that most people will settle and there will be extra money for saving for major investments. It is advisable to invest such extra income rather than accumulate it in a bank account where it may not earn worthy interest. There are several fund managers out there and brokers who assist in investing such extra income, and this may be in unit trusts where investments from several individuals or organizations are combined to invest in equity, which is shares, treasury bonds and bills, and even real estate. The fund manager makes all the investment choices on behalf of the investors, and the fund's profits and losses are shared. One can also seek advice to invest purely in equity, treasury bonds, commercial papers, real estate, or any other investment vehicle available, and this can also be done online. Except for treasury bonds, which are government securities, risk is much higher than in money market and treasury bills. And one is advised to choose preference depending on risk tolerance. This is ability to handle risk. Diversification should also be practiced with the help of the managers, because possible loss, there is possibility of losing. And here one is advised, because it is like the saying that we should not put all our eggs in one basket. So this prevents one from losing in totality. It is advisable also to seek assistance from registered financial advisors or experienced real estate agents after carrying out due diligence. They will help one to achieve the set goals faster in an easier manner. To get an idea of the performance of different investors and investment managers, one is advised to have an interest in checking regularly the financials page in any weekday newspaper. From there, or from any other recommendation from friends, it is easy to find a background information about each of them. And this should be they should be listed, and then it is advisable to check their credentials and also to check whether they are registered with relevant professional bodies. From there, one can make a conclusion on which financial advisor to use. Now, after one has made personal decisions on investments, as a group in the church, it is always good to come up with ways of how we can assist one another, especially as ladies of the church. We have a few suggestions that we are making to cushion effects of financial setbacks during the pandemic and even in the future. When people come together, they may be able to assist one another by pulling together finances. And we are making several suggestions down here. We have like cooperative arrangement that we had mentioned earlier. And with the authority of the church, ladies can come together and start contributing money to start a cooperative society or such a setup. Advice and guidance can be sought from the Ministry of Cooperatives to assist in initial setup and ensure that full compliance with the regulations is done. Initially, they will be required to have officials to guide on how to go about it, and as things progress, a bank account will be opened with minimum contribution fixed by the members. In addition, every member may make additional contributions according to their ability. Within 6 months, a member will be eligible to borrow an amount equivalent to 3 times of own contribution. This will help members to assist one another in achieving basic financial plans that they would not be able to achieve individually. Another one is group medical insurance. Insurance is important because it gives the insured protection from uncertain financial loss. One of the most important insurance covers is medical insurance, but it can be very expensive for an individual. So group medical insurance enables a person to afford medical cover because the rates are more reasonable compared to individual arrangement. Through the church, stable insurance companies may be approached to quote and advise on how to put families together so as to be provided with affordable rates. Another recommendation is shopping arrangements. Ladies can come together grouped in fellowships to start contributing as little as 200 shillings per week. Every month, the contributed amount can be used to do shopping for common items like grocery, which are then shared equally. This will help people take advantage of bulk purchases and will also reduce unnecessary trips to the supermarkets and also unplanned purchases. As we talk about investments, we should not forget that a time is coming when each of us is going to grow old, or any time a person can become incapacitated. So it is recommended that one joins a retirement plan. Immediately they start earning without considering age. Many people make the mistake of thinking that they don't need to save for retirement because they are young, and that by the time they grow old, they will have made a lot of money and saved. Those in business and self-employed may think that they will sell their businesses, which will be enough for retirement. In many cases, this does not work. So it is advisable for a person to join a retirement plan, and in addition, NSSF or National Social Security Fund, which will at least give somebody an income after that age of retirement, at the age of retirement. There are insurance companies that offer individual retirement plans where one can be making regular payments, and this will at least cater for financial needs during that old age. One can find out details from several insurance companies, because mostly it is done by insurance companies. And it is good to talk to friends who get their income or retirement income from such companies, so that one can know the background or how they perform, because not all of them are very good or can be recommended. Last but not least, it is also known that death is inevitable. So we are recommending making of a will. We need to remember that death is inevitable, or one can reach a point where it is difficult to make rational decisions due to old age, or one can even become incapacitated. It's important to put things in writing, how property will be shared or taken care of when the inevitable comes. This will reduce family conflicts that occur to many families when a person dies. It also reduces waste of money on legal fees due to disagreements. Hard-earned wealth that had been accumulated over a lifetime may be wasted in many ways that could have been prevented if things had been put in writing. So it's advisable that one gets necessary legal advice in order to draw a will in a professional manner and have it kept safely. In conclusion, from what we have experienced during the coronavirus pandemic, things can change all of a sudden and we may be caught unprepared. Therefore, let us plan for emergency funds and also develop a saving culture in profitable ventures, as we are reminded by the wife of noble character in Proverbs 31, verse 18, which says, she sees that her trading is profitable. At the same time, let us focus on God's promise in Joel chapter 2, verse 25, which says, I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten. God knows what we are going through, and we should trust in Him that He will restore us by replacing what COVID-19 pandemic has destroyed. Rather than focus on the circumstances around us, let us focus on Him and believe that He can turn the worst of events into blessings. If we trust in Him and then do what we need to do, we shall come out victorious. That is the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening to me, and God bless you.